welcome back to Goal. Today we're going to be talking about restoring ankle dorsiflexion. This segment is going to be about putting it together, about how we mobilize, move, and load, and the pathway of how we integrate these movement skills. The reason we want good ankle dorsiflexion is because as we move, right, once our foot hits the ground, right after our foot, our ankle is the next communication point up our body about how we move and doing what we want to achieve. And when we have those limitations, sometimes we could pick up some extra compensatory patterns to get the activity done either way. Sometimes when we have these limitations, it can be from something like an ankle sprain where it might be painful or swollen for a period of time. So we take some time off it, but then as it's becoming less painful, get right into our activity, but don't necessarily take the time to restore our native range of motion. The other area that we're finding as well is a lot of times after our post-op ACLs, for example, they're in a brace for a period of time, they're on an assistive device like a crutch for a period of time as well, so we start to see some degradation of their normal gait and walking patterns. So here's a few exercises that we're going to go over in a continuum that can help restore some of that ankle dorsiflexion. So the first exercise we're going to do, we're going to have Whit here get into a half kneeling position, and we're going to basically do a banded mobilization. And this green band here we want right below her medial and lateral malleolus, her ankle bones here, to basically create a posterior glide on our talus, which is the bone in between our medial and lateral malleolus. And all I really want her doing is driving that knee forward over her second and third toe. And we're basically going to pause here for a second and then just rock back and forth for a period of time. Nice and easy. I don't want it to be painful. It should actually help reduce maybe even some of the pinchiness we feel in the front of that knee, right? And then after we mobilize, we'd like to groove that pattern with some loading. So, but before we do that, we're gonna add a little bit more movement here. So we're gonna get her out of this band, and then give her this kettlebell here right on top of her knee. And the reason we like doing this, first and foremost, is to continue to move through the range that we're just started to mobilize and create some more range of motion and capacity for. But the other thing too is sometimes some people like some compression into that range of motion as well and give a little bit more joint proprioception to the movement. So this would be that second phase on that continuum about how we're mobilizing and moving before we start to load the joint itself. So following our half kneeling kettlebell knee drivers, we're gonna get Whitney up here, right on our GC blocks, and do a forward step dip. Now, a couple of the benefits here are as Whitney's coming down, right? We're getting that ankle dorsiflexion in a loaded pattern, but the other component too is when we have these limitations, we usually see some proprioceptive deficits up the chain, in her knee, in her hip as well. So we're getting a ton of bang for our buck from strength and motor control here too. So we'll usually try to groove this pattern and really reintroduce that ankle dorsiflexion and drive that pattern and improve our range of motion as well. So when we have those limitations, we don't necessarily want to just get right back into activity before restoring some of our native range. So give these a try and let us know what you think.